Raindrops start their journey from the sea and oceans. They evaporate, rise, cool, and become raindrops and rain. Some rain falls on the sea and the ocean directly on rainy days, so water drops return to the sea and oceans. This is the easiest way for droplets to return to their origination. But some rains or snowfall fall on the land or mountains, and these water droplets will travel a long way to reach the sea and ocean again. This path can be possible by rivers. So, rivers play a significant role in the water cycle in nature. When we review this story of raindrops and their cycle, we all remember this poem by Iranian poet Molana.
هر کسی کو دور ماند از اصل خویش باز جوید روزگار وصل خویش.
Everyone who is left far from his source wishes back to the time when he was united with it. The most important feature of rivers is how much water carries into the sea every second, named discharge. The discharge unit is cubic meter per second. The volume of water enters the sea at the mouth of the river in 1 second. Indeed, why is the salinity of the Caspian Sea third one of the salinity of the ocean? The role of rivers in a lake like the Caspian is more important than the sea and ocean, as this water basin is a landlocked water basin. Rivers play two major roles in the Caspian Sea. Its most important effect is in controlling the salinity of the Caspian Sea, which always maintains it below 14 psu. Otherwise, the salinity of the Caspian Sea will increase due to high evaporation, particularly in the southern part. It should be considered that the salinity of river waters is usually close to 1 to 3 psu. So, after entering the Caspian, it decreases the salinity of the water, especially at the mouth of rivers. Since the volume of fresh water always enters the Caspian Sea, it also prevents the decrease of the water level of the Caspian Sea. Can the decrease recently in the level of the Caspian Sea be due to the decrease in river water? What do you think? More than 130 small and big rivers flow into the Caspian Sea. The significant rivers are mainly on the northern coasts, and the small rivers are scattered on the western and southern coasts. For this reason, the surface salinity distribution of the Caspian Sea shows low salinity in the northern basin. Among all 130 rivers, the Volga, Kara, and Ural can be the most important. Let's start with the Volga River. This river enters the sea in the northern part of the Caspian Sea. It is the main and most significant river that flows to the Caspian Sea. This river alone supplies, on average, about 81% of the incoming water of the Caspian Sea. Fluctuations of the Volga River have a direct effect on the water level of the Caspian Sea. Also, it plays a key role in the surface circulation of the Caspian Sea. The Volga River has about 300 small and big branches, and its main branch is about 3,700 km long. The total length of the Volga rivers is about 78,000 km, of which about 14,000 km is for ships navigable. In the months of May and June, the volume of the water is about 42% of the whole, while this value in the months of January and February is 8%. The average annual discharge of the Volga River is about 270 cubic kilometer per year. The Volga River is divided into three sections when entering the Caspian. They are the Upper Volga, the Middle Volga, and the Lower Volga. Interestingly, the Volga River has canals linking it to the open seas. Indirectly, the Volga-Baltic waterway named Mariinsky Canal connects the Baltic Sea to the Caspian Sea. To be more tangible, we compare this river with some well-known rivers worldwide. The Volga River is among the 15 longest rivers in the world. While the Amazon is the longest river in the world, the Volga is the longest river in Europe. While the average discharge of the Nile River is 2,633 cubic meter per second, the Po River, the most important river in the Adriatic, is 1,500 cubic meters per second. Kara River, this river enters from the southwestern part of the Caspian Sea. It originates in the southern Ural Mountains. It is the third longest river in Europe after the Volga and the Danube, with 1,515 km. The average discharge of this water basin would be 443 cubic meter per second, while the minimum and maximum discharges are 206 and 2,250 cubic meter per second. A Ross border river around 100 kilometers, before entering the Caspian Sea, it joins the Kara River and flows into the Caspian Sea together. The discharge of this river alone is about 17.9 cubic kilometer per year, nearly 6% of the total annual water imported from the Caspian for the Kara River. The Ural River flows into the Caspian Sea from the northern part. The length of this river is 245 kilometers, which is 3% of the total discharge of the rivers entering the Caspian Sea. The average discharge of this river is 400 cubic meter per second. So, if we compare the river discharge of Volga, Ural, and Kara, the maximum is usually recorded in May and June. The total rivers that enter the Caspian Sea from the coasts of Iran have an annual discharge of about 11.6 cubic kilometer, constituting nearly 4% of the total water that enters the Caspian Sea. Among all rivers, the Sapidra is the most important. Sapidra, this river can be the most important on the Iranian coast, originating from the mountains of Kurdistan. It travels a long way to reach the Caspian Sea. In the large path, many small rivers join this river before entering the Caspian Sea. Its total annual discharge is 4 cubic kilometer, which is about 5% of the total water import of the Caspian Sea. If we sum all river discharge in the Caspian Sea, it can be 9,000 to 10,000 cubic meter per second, which would be a large volume, at least for the lake. It is the main reason why the Caspian Sea salinity usually is 1/3 of the ocean. To understand this volume, the average volume for the Adriatic Sea is 4,000 to 5,000 cubic meter per second. We should consider that the Adriatic Sea can be the dilution basin for the Mediterranean Sea. So, the discharge in the Caspian is 2 times rather than Adriatic. Also, there are many less important rivers in terms of discharge. Emba River in the Kazakhstan, Kuma River in Russia, Samur River in Azerbaijan and Russia, Suluk River in Russia, Atrak River in Iran, and Turkmenistan are other rivers entering the Caspian Sea. Indeed, the rivers play significant roles in the Caspian, a water basin in the heart of the land.